President Duterte claims testing laboratories at the Philippine Red Cross have released false positive COVID-19 results, although he cannot present sufficient evidence. Malacanang clarifies this does not mean the president is doubting COVID-19 tallies. Our Trisha Tarada has more.
President Duterte wants the health department to investigate the alleged false positive COVID-19 test results at the Philippine Red Cross, as he once again criticized the organization's chairman, Senator Richard Gordon. Duterte cited 44 cases of false positives among hospital personnel. He said the results turned out negative after confirmatory tests with another lab. But when asked for the president's source, Malacanang could not categorically say where he got his information.
I think isang grupo rin ang nagpa-test niyan at sabay-sabay sila nagpa-test at yan nga po naging resulta.
The chief executive also claimed 187 out of 213 personnel of the Presidential Security Group received inaccurate results. The same goes for 13 individuals from the Finance Department, but so far, no formal complaint has been made known to the public. While the president acknowledged that RT-PCR tests are not 100% accurate, he cited a Harvard article that said most false positives could be due to lab contamination or other problems on how the tests were performed. He then questioned the accuracy of COVID-19 figures.
Are your testing facilities and equipment really as good as you say they are? You could be putting more people at risk. You could be falsely adding to the total positive cases per day of this country. How sure are we now in our figures, in the veracity and truthfulness of the test combined? Marami man rin nagpunta dyan sa Red Cross. How do you backtrack? If it is impossible, what do you intend to do?
Malacanang later clarified the president isn't questioning the accuracy of the COVID-19 data, even if he said it himself.
Kaya nga pinapaimbestigahan natin para we will make sure that the tests are in fact accurate. Now we know they're not perfect, but we are taking steps to make them more accurate.
The palace said the RITM will now have to at least randomly check the accuracy of tests of other labs. The PRC on September 4 said it had conducted over 4 million tests, adding it covered the bulk of the testing at the height of the pandemic to, quote, pick up the slack for the government, unquote. The president also questioned Gordon if he inserted pork barrel amounting to 88 million pesos into the PRC, but Duterte did not provide proof or his source for this information.
Ngayon, the money is lost forever. It cannot be accounted for. If this is true, kung totoo itong pinarking mo talaga, ang nagsasabi niyan mga taga-Red Cross.
Duterte also accused Gordon and the PRC of not submitting annual reports, which he said is an omission punishable under anti-graft laws. Trisha Tarada, CNN, Philippines.
Despite the president's threats to stop government transactions with the Red Cross, Malacanang could not say when this will actually take place. Rather, it reiterates that the president wants accountability from the humanitarian organization. Now, amid Mr. Duterte's unrelenting attacks, the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee holds another hearing on the handling of COVID-19 funds. Lawmakers point out more anomalies, including the expiration of testing kits and the questionable business of top supplier Pharmaly. Amor Santos joins us for the details. Go ahead, Amor.
Via strong words from Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Richard Gordon for President Rodrigo Duterte. At the 8th hearing on the alleged misuse of pandemic response funds, Gordon called out President Duterte's relentless attacks on him and his humanitarian organization, the Philippine Red Cross.
Bully. And I'm sorry, Mr. President. The Filipino people can fight back against bullies. Filipino can have a revolution against bullies. Hindi ako natatakot sa inyo. Hindi po ako duwag. Do your worst, Mr. President, as you did with ABS-CBN. Do your worst as you did with the senator who was elected by the people.
Gordon says Red Cross is ready to face the investigation ordered by the chief executive over alleged false positive COVID-19 tests. But even Health Secretary Francisco Duque agreed the Red Cross has been boosting the country's testing capacity. Tuesday's hearing revealed more anomalies that resulted in losses for the government. The DOH admitted 7,925 testing kits worth more than 500 million pesos expired last year. These could have been used for over 371,000 COVID-19 tests. In a letter signed by Health Assistant Secretary Nestor Santiago in December 2020, the DOH requested the procurement service to reschedule the delivery of top supplier Pharmally Pharmaceutical following the expiry of testing kits delivered earlier. According to health officials, this happened because the only available test kits at that time were due to expire in 6 months, and the country had fewer testing laboratories then. But Senator Kiko Pangilinan says the government should have negotiated for up to 25% discount based on industry practice. The hearing also showed the 500,000 face masks that Pharmally sold to the government at nearly 27 pesos apiece were bought by Pharmally from Tiger Phil Marketing Corporation at 24 pesos each. Tiger Phil also sourced it from another supplier, Green Trend Trading, at 18 pesos each, resulting in profits for the companies at the expense of the government. At the last hearing, Gordon also questioned the luxury cars purchased by Pharmally executives after bagging billions of pesos worth of government contracts. Pharmally's corporate secretary and treasurer Mohit Dargani says this were an investment. Gordon says the Senate will subpoena the tax records of Pharmally officials, as well as former procurement service head Lloyd Christopher Lau and Chinese businessman and former presidential advisor Michael Yang. Back to you, Tia.
Amor, does the government have pending contracts with Pharmally?
Yes, Tia, Dargani confirms they have pending delivery of PPE sets. Senator Honteveros even calls this a continuing crime. Honteveros also points out that Dargani wrote on his LinkedIn page that he worked as special assistant at the office of the Presidential Economic Advisor, Michael Yang. She says it shows the deep relationship of the Chinese businessman with Pharmally, but Dargani says it was actually a mistake and he only assumed he was accepted to work in Yang's office. Yeah.
Amor Santos there reporting. Now, no warrant of arrest has been served or issued for Yang. He joined the virtual hearing from Davao City, but he was not asked any questions by the senators after the roll call. There was also a warrant of arrest for Pharmally Director Lincoln Ong for allegedly lying in previous hearings. He is now detained at the Senate. He was earlier placed under house arrest because he was positive for COVID-19. Now, there are more than 16,300 additional COVID-19 cases today. Some doctors and data experts say the country is in the longest fourth wave of COVID-19 infections as it saw record-breaking numbers in the past weeks. Carlin Bonkin reports.
While more people are outside under the new alert level system, infectious diseases specialist Dr. Ronjin Solante says situations in most hospitals haven't changed. He says this is by far the longest wave of infections. More people aged 50 and younger are in severe or critical condition. More people needed emergency care, a never-ending job for health workers. Solante adds, many vaccinated doctors and nurses are still getting the virus due to the highly transmissible Delta variant.
Since the 3rd to 4th week of July, most of our ICUs, especially here in our hospital, San Lazaro Hospital, are already full. And until now, it's still full.
While no health agency has a universal definition of a wave, it's usually used to describe the peaks and valleys of reported infections. Octa Research Group's analysis of government's data shows a fourth wave. It's already a week longer than the earlier surge.
It's been the longest surge so far. I think Doc Edsel will agree we are seeing a downturn as we move into the granular lockdown mode, that we do not reverse the gains we have made in the last few weeks.
UP COVID-19 pandemic response spokesperson Professor Jomar Rabahante says, compared to the first and second waves last year, COVID infections did not go down as much after the third wave in March and April, before increasing again by end of July. Aside from Delta, Rabahante sees another factor. The recent enhanced community quarantine was not as strict as last year, but it has somehow helped control the transmission.
I think also sa implementation nun. Kasi dito sa kung saan ako nakatira sa Laguna, kahit ECQ that time, pwedeng lumabas yung mga tao. Kung walang ECQ that time, baka mas mabilis yung increase. Mas exponential siya. Pero in terms of inhibiting na bababa like this, hindi eh.
But a DOH technical advisor says whether or not there's a fourth wave, what matters more, deaths are not increasing as much as the cases.
More than double yung cases, pero almost kapantay yung number of deaths compared to April. Even though expected natin na mas deadly nga yung Delta, hindi yun nangyari. And the only thing that's contributing to that, pagbabakuna natin ng maraming tao.
In fact, over 4,800 people died in August alone, the highest number of lives lost to the virus since the pandemic began. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
A teachers group raises concerns over the pilot run of face-to-face classes. The Education Department has yet to issue a list of participating schools, but the gig says it is one of the areas approved by the agency. Now, are stakeholders ready? AC Nichols reports.
After a year and a half of distance learning, a number of students may soon go back to their physical classrooms. President Duterte has approved a pilot run for in-person classes in low-risk areas for COVID-19. Junessa Ruedas welcomes the move. Despite risks, she believes her third-grade son can get better education in the classroom than through a screen at home. He goes to a public school in Taguig City, one of the areas supposedly approved for in-person classes.
Hindi lang yung basta nasa monitor lagi, nasa computer, kasi yung bata, hindi siya ganun ka-focus.
The Education Department said the pilot run will cover kindergarten to grade 3 and senior high school students. Classes will also be limited to 3 to 4 hours. As a senior high school student from Taguig, Maria Consumo will be among those going back to their classrooms. But she says she doesn't want to take the risk. She adds physical distancing cannot be guaranteed, even with a smaller class size.
Di ba po bawal po mag-dine-in kapag hindi vaccinated? Pero bakit po sila pumapayag na mag-face-to-face yung mga bata nang hindi mga vaccinated?
Teachers have concerns as well. For one, only 40% of almost 1 million teaching and non-teaching personnel have been vaccinated.
Napakahirap talaga yan. Just imagine, di ba? Every 2 weeks, nagpapalit tayo ng quarantine category. Diba? Every 2 weeks. Paano yan? Kung ngayon ay okay, tapos next week ay in 2 weeks ay hindi na naman. So bawal na naman lumabas yung mga bata.
Advocacy groups including the United Nations Children's Fund or UNICEF have been pushing for the reopening of schools in the country, citing learning loss in a prolonged remote learning setup. Some health experts, however, question the preparedness for on-site learning in light of rising COVID-19 cases with a dominant Delta variant.
Sa teachers pa lang tsaka sa mga employees, even if vaccinated sila at marami ding unvaccinated, pwede ka rin nagkaroon ng breakthrough infections. Ang ibig sabihin ng breakthrough infection, after vaccination, nagkakaroon ka pa rin ng tinatawag na COVID, lalo na Delta variant. That's why in other countries, kahit bakunado na yung ibang countries, nagkaka-Delta variant pa. How much more kung mababa ang ating vaccination rate in our country?
The Education Department has yet to announce the pilot run date. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
When we return, we take you to Manila, where protesters mark the 49th anniversary of the martial law declaration under the late President Ferdinand Marcos. And President Duterte's advisor renews his call to loosen restrictions for vaccinated individuals. Details next here on CNN Philippines.
Muna na po ako.
Okay, ingat po.
Araw-araw, tayo ay hinahamon na mabuhay ng tapat at may integridad.
Sobrang sukli.
Dahil ang mapagkakatiwalaan sa maliit na bagay,
Miss, wallet niyo po.
Ay mapagkakatiwalaan din sa malaking bagay. Pero ang mandaraya sa maliit na bagay, ay mandaraya rin sa malaking bagay.
Nagsimula sa isang pangarap.
Ako na po, ma'am.
Ika'y tutulungang ibahin ang buhay na nakasanayan.
Naka 24 months ka na sa pag-ibig.
May panghulog na ako sa motor.
Uy, bagong motor!
Gagawa ng hakbang para mapaghandaan ng forever.
Ingat ka, ha?
At harapin ang bukas na may maaasahan. Simulan mo na ang forever mo ngayon. Fund your forever with Pag-ibig Fund.
Register today!
Pogino! Dahil yan sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks Coach Shine with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real salmon goodness and omega-3 and 6 for healthy skin and shiny coat. Kita naman, di ba? Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks Coach Shine.
Amid the darkness, look on the bright side. As the battle against COVID-19 continues, the fight for proper nutrition grows as more and more families lack access to healthy food. Knorr is no stranger to these health challenges. For over 2 decades, the food brand has championed proper nutrition for every Filipino and continued to do so, especially during these troubling times.
Knorr has an important role to play in addressing the problem of malnutrition. Given our reach and our portfolio of nutritious and delicious products, we are in a position to make a real difference.
Apart from educating moms and partnering with different organizations, Knorr has also remained true to its passion for good food by continually improving on their products to provide essential nutrients that will benefit the families that use them. From its Knorr Sinigang sa Sampalok Mix Original that now contains vitamin C, to the popular Knorr Broth Cubes that are now also a source of iron. Knorr's continuing innovation for positive nutrition is part of the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan. The company's mission is to provide a positive social impact in the markets where it operates. For more information, consumers can visit Knorr's website or follow Knorr Philippines on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Sam Tidwani, CNN Philippines.
Welcome back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Today marks 49 years since former President Ferdinand Marcos placed the country under martial law. George Quiles joins us live from Liwasang Bonifacio in Manila, where protesters gathered to never forget. George, what can you tell us?
Well, Pia, victims of martial law and their families, with the support of protesters, say that they will always be reminded of the pain, anguish, horror of human rights abuses during the Marcos regime. And they call out the lies, the disinformation, and attempts to cover up those abuses and massive corruption at the time as a blatant attempt to disrespect those who fought to regain democracy. And they cry, never forget and never again to martial law. In Binondo, Manila, things came to a head between protesters and the police, who used water cannons to disperse rallyists attempting to hold an activity and cross MacArthur Bridge to reach Liwasang Bonifacio. The program here at the Liwasang Bonifacio began at 4 p.m. Protesters say Marcos's authoritarian governance is no different to President Duterte, citing alleged human rights abuses and corruption.
Hindi pwedeng ang milyon-milyong tao dati pinatalsik si Marcos na walang dahilan. Totoong may human rights violation ng martial law, totoong may kahirapan, at totoong may pagnanakaw ng panahon ng martial law. At dapat lang ma-recognize ang kabayanihan ng sambayanang Pilipino ng panahon ng EDSA hanggang ngayon, at dapat ma-recognize ang accountability ng mga Marcos at ng Duterte ngayong mga panahon.
Protesters peacefully ended their program here at 6 p.m. Back to you, Pia.
George, were minimum health standards observed during these protests?
Oh, well, Pia, there was an issue of on physical distancing when the police tried to, when the police dispersed the protesters using water cannon. But here at Liwasang Bonifacio, there were actually policemen roaming around, reminding people to practice and observe the minimum health standards. And the leaders of groups also are also reminding their members to keep their physical distance and always wear the face mask and face shield. Back to you.
George Quiles there reporting from Liwasang Bonifacio in Manila. Government officials, various groups and netizens also remember what they describe as a dark period in Philippine history. In a statement, Vice President Leni Robredo reminded Filipinos of the sufferings during the Marcos regime. Robredo urged people to resist attempts to revise events under the former strongman, saying it is our duty to safeguard and push for what she called is the nation's true history. The rights group Karapatan wants Filipinos to go beyond remembering by preventing the return of the Marcoses and President Duterte to Malacanang. The group says Mr. Duterte is implementing a war against dissent like that of the late president. Protesters in Cebu City displayed the same sentiments. Groups decried the supposed atrocities under the current administration and expressed support for the International Criminal Court's probe into President Duterte's drug war. The hashtags Never Again and Never Forget also trending online with mixed reactions from netizens. On Facebook, some described Marcos as the best president for his accomplishments and claimed the country flourished during his term. But these Twitter users reject that mindset as callous, noting that thousands died and billions of pesos were stolen at that time. They add glorifying and denying the nightmares of martial law will only encourage another one. As more Filipinos get their COVID-19 shots, the business sector is proposing to further ease restrictions while the flag carrier wants to cut down quarantine stay for vaccinated travelers. Our Tristan Nadalo has the details.
Saving the fourth quarter of 2021 or the Christmas season was one of the main reasons why the business sector supported the early calls for hard lockdown this year. And with more people getting vaccinated against COVID-19, Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Joey Concepcion says that it's about time to give more mobility to vaccinated people while protecting the unvaccinated.
We have to protect the unvaccinated. It is not discriminating them. We will have to eventually open entertainment. We are now requesting quarantine levels to go down. We are requesting we have to open up. We have to live with COVID-19.
Concepcion warns that failure to open the economy and generate revenues will directly hit not only businesses but the local government units and even the national government. Meantime, restaurant owners say that sales are slowly picking up following the shift to the alert level system. But for some eateries like Carinderias, they have yet to feel the impact of the policy change.
Ganun pa rin mahina eh. Kasi yung iba nagtitipid, tapos hindi na sila kumakain masyado kasi natakot.
And ahead of the influx of travelers this Christmas season, flag carrier Philippine Airlines is pushing to ease travel restrictions for fully vaccinated passengers. The Philippine Airlines says its data show that arriving passengers do not contribute to the infection rate in the country. The airline proposes cutting down the current 10 to 14-day mandatory quarantine to 5 days.
International air travel and just air travel in general is not a significant contributor to the Philippines' infection rate. Instead of being tested on the 5th or 7th day, they actually will be tested on the 3rd day. And if they are negative, they can exit the quarantine facility on the 5th day and just continue their quarantine at home.
PAL says passengers can save as much as 25,000 pesos with this shortened quarantine. It will also free up hotel quarantine facilities easily and could lead to lower ticket prices. But health experts are not yet keen on shortening quarantine protocols for now amid the Delta surge. The government currently implements the green, yellow, and red categories for countries to determine the length of quarantine of an incoming traveler. So far, the shortest period is 7 days. Tristan Udalo, CNN Philippines.
Still ahead on Newsnight, K-pop group BTS showcases their dance skills while calling for change at the United Nations headquarters. A look when we return.
When the world was changing for photographic film, we helped change the world as a pioneer of the digital age. In healthcare, we're revolutionizing diagnostics by applying our AI technology. But why stop there? When we can focus our AI and IoT expertise on business innovation, helping tackle some of the toughest challenges in the workplace. When it comes to innovating for a healthier world and a more sustainable society, we'll never stop. Fujifilm, value from innovation.
Well, I have a long drive ahead, but before I hit the road, I gotta get this car loaded. Good morning, Kuya. Full tank diesel max, please. Whew. When it comes to fuel efficiency and getting the most out of a full tank, you can trust a diesel engine. Diesel fueled cars, well, they're perfect for those long drives. If you're the kind of person who likes to save money, like me, this is perfect for you. The appealing combination of economy and high performance make diesel engines more attractive to car enthusiasts. Diesel engines have a compression-ignited system, wherein the fuel is injected into the combustion chamber of the engine. More energy is being extracted from the diesel, thus providing higher mileage. Over time, deposits build up in the tips of fuel injectors, affecting the overall performance. So it's important to consider a fuel that helps keep injection systems clean, and that's where Petron Diesel Max comes in. It has multifunctional additives to maintain overall cleanliness of fuel injection systems. These additives extend the life of the engine. Petron Diesel Max also provides efficient combustion for maximum acceleration and power, and reliable burning quality. Treating engines with care and filling it with premium quality fuel will increase efficiency and prolong its life. Thank you, Kuya. All right, now that my car is filled up with Petron Diesel Max, I'm also pumped to make the most out of this long drive. Drive safely, everyone.
You're watching Newsnight. I'm Pia Honteveros. On the road, a sustainable project connecting Skyway 3 and Southeast Metro Manila Expressway will take off after getting official approval. The government greenlights San Miguel Corporation's proposed Pasig River Expressway after the supplemental toll operations agreement was signed today. The 95.40 billion elevated expressway is a toll road that is 19.37 kilometers long. It is expected to adopt green architecture and engineering principles to make for an efficient and eco-friendly transport infrastructure. Barracks can cut travel time from Manila to Rizal Province from the usual 2 to 3 hours to just 15 minutes.
Lahat po ng kalsada tinatayo natin puro north to south. Ito lang po for the first time east and west. It will solve the traffic of Rizal Province area, Marikina area, pati na po yung mga nanggagaling sa mga south like Laguna, Batangas, dadaan po yan sa Laguna Bay at makakapunta na kayo sa Makati ng mabilis.
SMC says it may begin construction within the first 3 months of 2022. Now, in entertainment, yesterday's United Nations General Assembly was met with over 1 million viewers as a world-famous K-pop group gave a speech on spreading hope for the younger generation during the pandemic. Aired on the UN YouTube channel and other social media platforms, the event in New York gained quite the online following. This is because boy band BTS gave a speech at the event to encourage the youth to forge ahead amid challenges in the current COVID-19 situation. They also touched on the importance of vaccination, with the group announcing they got inoculated in order to appear on the UN stage. Part of their visit was a taped performance of their latest hit, Permission to Dance, where members sang at various points at the UN's headquarters. The video has over 6 million views and counting on YouTube. We still have 95 days before Christmas Day. And that is it for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again at 7 on news.ph. I'm Pia Honteveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
This program is brought to you by
This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Another day filled with ninamnam awaits us. So welcome to Wholesome Meals, Better Life.